Hi everyone, in today's video I'll go over my Frozen Archer starter build. This build is intended to help you transition from World Tier 3 to World Tier 4 as soon as possible, as all the gear you get from World Tier 3 is pointless and you want to save as much materials, money, and aspects for your ancestral items and uniques that you'll get once you're in World Tier 4. But with that being said, you'll still need to upgrade your current gear 3 or 4 times if you want to complete the capstone dungeon as early on as possible. And with this build, most of the key aspects come from your Codex of Power, which can be completed at any world tier, making this the perfect starter build for anyone that is struggling to get to World Tier 4. Alright, starting off with the skills, we're going to go and get Puncture, and upgrade it to Fundamental Puncture for the vulnerability. And then for our core spender, we're going to get Penetrating Shot and max it out. And upgrade it to Enhanced Penetrating Shot. Next, we're going to get 3 points into Sturdy to increase our defense. And then max out Weapon Mastery. Get 1 point to Dash. And upgrade it to Methodical Dash. And we're going to get Smoke Grenade. Enhanced Smoke Grenade, and Countering Smoke Grenade. And then coming over to our imbuement skills, we're gonna take 1 point into Shadow Imbuement, and then upgrade it to Mixed Shadow Imbuement, and then max out Cold Imbuement, Enhanced Cold Imbuement, and then Mixed Cold Imbuement, and then max out Frigid Finesse and Chilling Weight. We're gonna get 1 point in Shadow Crash, and then 3 points in Consuming Shadows. Max out Precision Imbuement. Take 1 point in Intervention. And then max out Second Wind. 1 point into Adrenaline Rush, and then max out Impetus. And then for our key passive, we're going to go with Victimize. And then we're going to take 1 point to Exploit and max out Malice. Those are the skills I used when I completed the capstone dungeon at level 62. However, if you are struggling with single target damage for the boss, then I would suggest dropping the Smoke Grenade and getting Rapid Fire instead, or just dropping Puncture and getting Rapid Fire. Either way works. And you may change the dash out for Shadow Step if you want the Unbreakable. It's up to you. I'm just sharing what I used for when I completed it. Now we're going to go cover our aspects. As I said earlier in the intro, a lot of the key passes we need come from our Codex of Power. This is great if you want to get your build started and not waste your better aspects on your temporary gear. And all you have to do is complete a few dungeons associated with that chosen aspect. If you find yourself struggling to complete some of those dungeons, you can drop back to World Tier 1 or World Tier 2 to complete them. So let's get started off with the defensive aspects. And here we only really need 2, and that will be Might and Disobedience. And you can just left click to pin them on the map. Disobedience for the armor and Might for the damage reduction. And then when we move over to offense, we want Trick Shot and Edge Master, as well as Arrow Storm. Edge Master will give us a damage multiplier. Trick Shot as well as Arrow Storm will increase our AoE damage. But sadly, not all the aspects we can get are from the Codex of Power. There are some that we need, such as Icy Alchemist and Frostbitten to round out our build. You can get Icy Alchemist from opening weapon chests in Helltides or gambling them for one-handed weapons. And for the Frostbitten, we could do the same thing, but instead of weapons, we're going to go for amulets. So that should take up 7 of your 10 free slots of aspects. In the remaining 3 slots, you could slot in whatever you would like. If you are planning to do this capstone dungeon very early on, then I would suggest putting other aspects in there for damage or damage reduction. But if you could wait to level 70 to do your capstone dungeon, then you could leave those slots open and it shouldn't be an issue. So as far as gear goes, plan on doing this dungeon early on. Then you got to make sure all your gear is sacred. As far as stat priority goes, it doesn't really matter. A really good rule of thumb here is bigger number, better item. Very basic, very simple. It's just how Diablo is designed. So if you see the green number, just put it on and just make sure you upgrade it 3 or 4 times. You don't want to upgrade it all the way, because that will require some materials that you get from salvaging legendaries, which at this point you probably don't have a lot of. But if you do have some to spare, then I would suggest upgrading your weapon fully and not the armor. And if you can, find some max health rolls and total armor percentage. If you could get your armor percentage to that cap of 85%, then that would be ideal, but not mandatory. And if you are struggling to do this dungeon, just level up a few more times and it should make things easier. Now, for your pet, you may not have all the governing stones and tuning stones unlocked at this point, but if you have Reconstruct unlocked, I would use that for your sustain, as it will heal you. And for the tuning stones, I would put Safeguard, Tactical Support, and Duration Support. However, Tactical Support and Duration Support may be harder to find, so I would just go with Fortified Support and whatever else you have at the time. And for your other governing stone, I would use Lightning Bolt or Focus Fire. Either one's fine. Put whatever has the highest level. And then for the tuning stones on that one, I would use Frigid Support, Efficiency Support, and Arcing Support. At this point, your pet won't be that strong, so it doesn't really matter if you have these stones or not. If you do, put them on, or if not, just put on whatever you feel is best. Going over some tips for this dungeon, I attempted this dungeon at level 60, and I had no issue going through the dungeon. However, when I got to the final boss, a lot of his AoE attacks tend to one-shot me, and I just couldn't beat him. So I had to level up to level 62. Around there, things didn't one-shot me. It did bring me really close, but I was able to heal through it. So if you find yourself getting one-shotted, keep leveling up, as you don't have to do this at level 60. And you can also use elixirs that you get from Hell Tides. There's one elixir that gives you more health or more armor. Those two are very good for this fight, and you will still need to actually pay attention during this boss fight and avoid his AoE and ground effects, as they will bring you really close to death. But if you're at level 70, it's probably a cakewalk. You don't even have to dodge anything. You probably just face tank and kill him. And after you complete this dungeon, you should be able to get into World Tier 4. Once you're there, you probably won't be able to do much. Probably do the overworld stuff, but not the Helltide, as the monster level may be a little bit too high for you at this point. I would definitely do any world boss and Legion event and just let the other players do it for you and just try to gear up and get the ancestral items. Another thing you could do is do the new open world event, the Herald of Malthus, as a lot of other players come here to level up their gems. Now this is just a starter build, so it won't allow you to do a lot of the endgame stuff, but it should help you get the gear needed to get to the endgame Frost Era build, which I'll create another video on once I finish it. But here is a quick preview of the build so far, and I hope you enjoy. And thanks for watching the video.